Christopher Spera, and this is the iTechGear Weekly, episode number 121. That's a trip to HR waiting to happen. Recorded live Sunday, February 16th, 2025. Live from iTechGear Central. As I said, I'm Christopher Spera, the editor-in-chief here over at the iTechGear.org. And we've got the usual suspects here with us. Of course, we have the dulcet tones, the former contributing editor over at Gear Diary and Pocket Now, and of course, editor here at iTechGear.org, Mr. Chris Gavula. How are you, sir?
Oh, we're here again, aren't we? Oh,
we are.
Okay. Well, there we go then. No, I'm doing great. How are you doing this week? You hanging in there this week? Despite you getting the snow that we're getting over here?
Oh my goodness, yes.
Oh heck! 2 days of 4 or 5 inches each.
Actually, we've only got about 4 inches total.
Oh, we've got twice that.
So we got it real light, and it really is only nothing more than just powder that I can shovel with my leaf blower.
Oh no, I've been out with the shovel and the blower and everything else trying to get it clear. So yeah, definitely had snow. I mean, winter's not quite done with us yet, guys. I guess.
Not yet. Well, isn't that what Punxsutawney Phil said the other day?
Yeah. There you go. There you go. So here we are again. Here we are, nice and cozy and sitting next to in front of the computer, getting warmed by the computer.
Oh yes, getting hit with all that lovely radiation.
Yeah, all that lovely radiation. So here we are again.
And of course, we've also got the former contributing writer from Gear Diary and currently the host of the Linux Link Tech Show and the Living in the Retro Arcade podcast, and of course, also editor here at iTechGear.org, Brother Joe McLaughlin. How are you, sir?
I am doing well. Got all of my workouts in for the day, and I will, after this show, I'm going to record a Living in the Retro Arcade.
Nice.
Woohoo! That's my favorite.
Nice. And what are we talking about on the Retro Arcade podcast?
A review of the 1999 horrible classic Wing Commander movie.
Oh
which
boy.
Is, I mean, it's a takeoff of the video game.
It is.
Real hardcore fans of Wing Commander don't like it so much. I actually enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
The effects weren't all that great. I mean, it was very TV kind of Battlestar Galactica stuff. So
needless to say, there will not be a sequel. But anywho,
no, and that's okay. And of course, last but never least, we've got the former co-owner of WUGNET Publications and also editor here at iTechGear.org, Mr. Larry McJunkin. How are you, sir?
I'm fine. I was listening to your show title in it, and I have to say I was laughing because earlier in the pre-show, Chris Gavula said that the bench in front of the HR door is just big enough for the 4 of us, and that is so true. But
this has probably going in the order that we were introduced. So there you go.
This has been one of those days that actually reminds me of how thankful I am to have been in technology since 1974. I know that makes me old, but every day I get to interface with people who can't figure out how to install a new printer they brought home from Best Buy. They can't get into their home Wi-Fi. And folks, these are just some of the reasons that we do what we do on this show. We like to give back a little bit of what we've all been blessed with, and we're happy, and we hope we make you a little bit happy.
And gosh darn it, people like us.
They do.
Do they? No. But I will say, I think we all, the funny thing is, when we're not talking to each other or we're not talking on here, this is a big part of our regular days. People are always asking me questions. I know they're asking you questions, Larry, Chris, and Joel. I know we get asked questions all the time as the person
who rings all day long.
It just is what it is. Every day out loud.
And you know what? But it's nice to be needed, I guess. That's really kind of part of it.
Yeah. When my mother calls, she doesn't ask for me. She asks for Bob, the tech guy.
Yeah, right.
Well, there is that.
There is that. So
better than Nick Burns.
That's true. And you know what? Also, there is, guys. You know what? Also
what is there?
It's coming up. It's like next week.
This is not the big one, but it's still a big one. It's still
not
important.
The big one, but it's a one.
It's a one.
Right? It's a one. There is an Apple event this week on February 19th. Now, Larry, what are they planning? What do you think that they're planning on talking about?
Well, we don't like to speculate on this show, and we rarely do. But in this case, when Tim Cook himself started the rumor on X,
He
it's
did.
likely to come true. There's going to be an event, and he's going to take the stage. He's going to announce some new thing. We just don't know what. There
Right.
may be more than one thing, but if it's
Yeah.
the iPhone SE, as if we don't have enough models of the iPhone on the solid white maple tables at your local Apple store. I don't
Well,
know, but I'm
well,
betting
it
it's going to
should
be
be.
there.
It's
What do
supposed
you
to be
guys
the
think? What else is coming?
SE4, right? It's supposed to be the SE4.
Well, but
Right.
that wouldn't be a new member of the family because we've had
That's
something
An
in that
true.
SE.
slot.
We've
That
had
is
an
true.
SE.
I
So
didn't think of that.
the phrase that he said, the newest member of the family, almost implies there's something else coming.
I'm crossing my legs and
Don't
arms,
know.
and that it's going to be the new home pod.
Yeah, but that was sort of my thought too, Larry, is that when he says a new member of the family,
Or maybe the
well, this is the
home
home
center
pod
thing
thing.
with the
Yeah, that's what Larry's just
it's
saying.
like a large home pod, like a large
Yeah,
home pod, but
exactly.
it's got a iPad sitting on it,
Well,
small iPad.
to be fair, it's a lot like the touchpad from Google,
Yeah, yeah, it
or
is.
the thing
you
from
know.
Facebook that Facebook had a few years ago back when they had that whole communications
Right,
thing,
right.
right?
I'm
So
hoping it's that, but
but
who knows?
we'll see where they go with this thing. But that's what I'm thinking it probably is. I think the SE will come out or something like it, but I do think that when it comes out, it's just going to be a press release kind of thing. It's not
This is truly the first year in history that the mainstream media has caught wind of and is talking about 2025 will be the year that Apple gives HomeKit some real love. So I'm hoping they're right.
we'll see. We'll
You
certainly see
know,
what this does.
there's a
And
lot of
they're
things that
coming
they
out with
do that
they're
could
coming
use a
out with
little
a
bit of
camera
love.
and a doorbell too this year.
That would
Who
be
Well,
knows when, but they are.
we'll see, but I wouldn't mind getting off the Ring. I was happy with Ring when it came out, but I'm
Oh, I
certainly have
would
not been happy with it now that
love to
they're
not have to home bridge something in
well,
all
they're
the
also
time.
Ring is not, let's face it, they got bought. They're owned by a large corporate conglomerate who's doing who knows what with the data anymore.
I thought.
You
Well,
know,
weren't they bought by Amazon? I thought they were
they
bought by
were,
Amazon.
and that's
Yeah.
part of the problem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So, yeah, your data's all over the place when it comes to Ring.
that's true.
So,
That's
so
true.
it's
But
going to be,
it does a decent job. It's got a decent name and reputation. A lot of folks
yeah.
don't necessarily know or understand all the stuff that they're doing with the data.
Well, they've also had potential breaches and things.
That's true.
You always have to worry
to
about
get
those
off
kinds of things.
subject, but
So,
where they're missing the boat. A lot of the new homes these days, and if your home is within 2 years or maybe 3 years old, you probably don't have a wired doorbell. You just have one of those Home Depot doorbells. It works fine. It's a Bluetoothy
Yeah.
thing or whatever they use, and
Yeah.
that's
I
it.
don't know. See, I don't know. See, well, I qualify because my house was built and they put in a Skybell doorbell camera.
oh, okay.
With,
What is
you
that?
know,
That's a good brand.
it. Up until when we built the house, I never heard of it. But
Yeah, I've
Well,
basically,
heard of it.
overall in the industry, I don't know about the doorbell, but
right, it works directly with the. We have a Culosis panel, which is Android based, horribly out of date Android based security panel that works with ADT's alarm.com setup. All right. And that's it. I mean, there is a separate app for Skybell, but I don't use it because when ADT came to put the panel in and add me some sensors, I had some sensors in the bedrooms and some motion sensors and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And
Yeah. Help
they,
me, help
they
me
hooked all
understand.
that up. But yeah.
Yeah, help me understand a little bit, because according to Mark brother Mark Gurman, all right, they're saying that this event on the 19th is going to come out. They're going to talk. They're going to introduce the SE4, all right, and the SE4 is supposed to have a 6.1-inch OLED display,
Right.
48 megapixel camera, USB-C charging, and there's also rumors of it getting the new A18 chip, which would support, of course, Apple Intelligence, which is all nice, lovely, wonderful, and good.
Right.
How does then, if the screen is this big, how then does the iPhone SE4?
They just cannibalized the Pro and
I was
the
just
other
gonna, how
one.
did they, how does it differ from the 16 or the 16 Plus?
And I don't
Right.
know, but it supposedly may have their own 5G modem in it too.
Well, this is what I don't understand. Now, if that would be all nice, lovely, wonderful, and good, but I don't know how or why it would actually differentiate this particular model from.
How do they make it for $500? Is what I'm going to wonder.
This is what I'm saying.
Well,
You know,
yeah. So I think even though it's 6.1,
Plastic? Maybe it's plastic.
but it might be that the screen isn't the same. Maybe OLED
all it
versus
says is a OLED
IPS.
display. It just says an OLED display.
Yeah.
So what I'm getting at is there might be other limitations in.
I'd like to know
it's not going to be ProMotion. We know that.
No.
Well,
So
when was the 16 Pro announcement?
The 16 Pro announcement was in September with a release in October.
and the 16 Pro is a little bit bigger, and it does have a better processor and all those kinds of
16
things. So
Pro.
Yeah, 'cause it makes me wonder
Or
with
the 16 Pro
with
Max.
the story we're going to talk about later, whether it could be maybe they're accelerating the 17. Who knows?
I don't
yeah,
know.
that's a possibility too. We'll see.
We'll
I
have
do
to-
think there's other things that they could do. They could limit it in other ways. We'll see
Right.
what they do.
Right.
And it might just be a new base to push the rest of it forward when the 17s are announced. I don't know.
Or it can
Right.
be, or it can be something completely different. We just don't know.
Or it could be something completely different. That's absolutely true.
And
really don't know.
speaking of the iPhone 17, it's supposed
Yeah.
to have a bigger camera bar, isn't it, Joel?
So it's saying, according to YouTube channel Front Page Tech, it'll have this similar arrangement of the three cameras in the back, but there's going to be sitting on top of a bar of sorts. I seen the one that the story in the show notes will post looks more Apple-like. I also seen another one that basically looked a lot like this guy does.
The
with
Google Pro, the Google
Pros.
Pixel 9 Pro, right? Or
right.
the Pro XL. Which
So I
if
think
you
this
think
one's more
about
likely.
well, if you think about the existing camera array where it's got that triangle array, all right,
Right.
and if you think about the 9 Pro XL and the extended camera bar on that back of that phone, I want to know, why are they putting the bar? I mean, that big bar in, unless it's just for what we were talking about in the pre-show, stability of the device when it sits on a desk, it doesn't wobble. All right.
Right. Looks like maybe they're doing, because the one thing it looks like in the image they show, looks like the 9 Pro XL and the 9 Pro have a temperature sensor. You can take your temperature with the back of the phone.
Which is
right below
all
the
nice, lovely,
flash.
wonderful, and good,
Sort
but-
of. But yeah.
But it looks like this has that right below.
Yeah,
below the flash.
Well, all right. So
Well, remember, I think the thing below the flash is the
white
LiDAR.
the big white dot in the upper right corner of
Yeah,
that
it's the
bar.
LiDAR.
Right.
That's
So
the
we're citing
flash.
an article from Mac Rumors
Right.
in the show notes, and the mock-up that they have, it just got the three cameras on the left side. There's a big space in the middle, and then it's got the flash, the ambient light sensor, and the microphone on the right side. And like I said, there's this big space in the middle, and I wouldn't have a problem with the extended bar if there was something in that big black space.
Oh,
in the
I don't
middle.
need there to be something there. I just think to me it's just balanced looking.
I
So I kind of like it, but okay.
Well, then do me a favor, please, and give me a straight line of cameras. All right.
Or
Give me
or
a straight line.
put those humps below the surface of the bar.
Yeah,
You know.
That's
there
it.
you go.
Yeah, they have enough room to do that because it's about the
Yeah.
same distance it was. I don't know.
Mhm.
We'll see.
It's a rumor, so it may not be true.
And I don't care how that looks. I'm not looking at that part of it anyway.
Right.
Right.
No, you're looking at the other side. So
Right. Exactly. So it's like,
so whether you're taking a selfie or whether you're taking a regular picture, doesn't matter. You're still looking at the screen.
you know.
the
And
main
again,
screen,
we should point out once again, this is rumor. We don't know for sure this is what it really will come out looking
not
like.
a clue.
But I do think if it does, I'm all for it. If it makes the device level and set levelly, I'm happy with it. I don't like the half lump that makes a phone sit unevenly when you put it down on the table. I really dislike that, but
Well,
we'll see.
if,
We'll see where it goes. I don't know.
I don't know, but there are some good
It's
things
nice.
that are happening in the Apple world, and you know what that is, kids.
I don't know if I call this a good thing.
Well, no, creators out there went and joyfully screamed and all the wonderful things. The TikToks are back, kids. They're back in the App Store and the Google Play Store.
Well, at least for now. We don't really know if that can hold.
At least for now.
Is there an emoji for I don't really care?
Yeah. We're the wrong target, Larry. We're completely the wrong market.
We are. I get that.
We don't use the TikTok.
I have younger friends who are constantly showing me what they saw on TikTok or found on TikTok, and I'm going,
right.
Oh, okay. That's always my reaction to it. Okay.
90% of TikToks don't make sense to me. I guess that means I'm old. I don't know.
And now it's funny because, I personally, I do use YouTube. Joel, I know you use YouTube pretty heavily as well. And let's face it, what they're now calling YouTube Shorts, half of those are TikToks that have just been repurposed.
Nearly everything that's on Facebook Reels is an imported TikTok video.
Yeah, so we're getting to the point. They're either imported from Instagram or they're imported from TikTok, and it's one or the other, and there you go. That's how the kids are commuting, Kate.
And 90% of them could be AI too. They could be AI generated, and I don't really care.
Yeah, you're right. It just is what it is, So, but keep in mind, I think the larger thing for us to keep in mind is these guys received permission to reissue the apps from the government,
right?
And it's based on a 75-day extension of not enforcing the ban, which may or may not be legal. That's all going through the courts again, so here we go again. Right. And the question is, even if it's held in place, what happens at day 75? You can't just keep kicking the can down the road.
Right. No,
something's got to change. We got to have a new law passed or something in order to undo what was done. That's what has to happen ultimately. So we'll see where it goes.
And ultimately, the concern about this is not related to anything that all the U.S.-based creators are doing, but the fact that it appears that the Chinese government has some level of backdoor into
fingers in the pie.
Yes,
fingers in the pie. And by the way, none of that has changed. None of the intelligence that said this was happening has changed. Not a bit of it.
Changed.
So
it's whatever they had, if they ever had anything in terms of looking at all the data, et cetera, is still there and is still active.
None of this has changed. So
nothing has changed as far as the app is concerned.
And we should also point out too that not even a year ago, everybody on both sides of the political parties all believed that this ban was a good thing. Now here we are a year later with no different evidence, and now we're all deciding that it isn't. So I don't really quite know where this is going to lead us. I don't know what this is going to look like going forward.
But for now, a clue.
For now, if you're a big fan,
it's
go out and get it. Go out and get it while you can.
If you were wanting to get it, or if you had deleted it off and you wanted to get it again,
smoke them if you got them.
Yeah, if you're a fan, go for it. Because who knows what it's going to be tomorrow.
And at some point, AG Bondi is going to go ahead and conduct some level of investigation, figure out exactly what's going on, report back to the president that it either is or is not a threat to national security with the appropriate evidence, and they'll make some level of decision as to whether or not it should leave or it should go now.
Yeah, so here we go.
There's a song in there somewhere. Anyway, somewhere. But that's kind of sort of really what it is, right?
Crazy.
So we'll see what happens. But the other interesting thing that I saw this week as part of our Apple segment And Larry, I immediately thought of you, which is one of the reasons why I asked you to take a look into this. But Apple Maps are now starting to show ads.
Well, they're talking about showing ads. They're
I
not
don't
doing
think
it
they've
yet.
started showing them yet,
Okay,
but
that's good.
I honestly think this is probably true for reasons I'll cite in a minute. But if
Mhm.
I start seeing them in my CarPlay, which I won't, I don't think, but
No, I don't
that's
think
when
we'll
I'm
see
going
them
to
in
turn my
CarPlay.
car's nav system back on.
Right.
I mean, I get this. Apple is finding it increasingly difficult to say no to the hundreds of millions of dollars, maybe even billions it could make with this. But does a $3 trillion company really need to stoop to what Google's is doing in making its customers the product? I
When
would
the
hope not.
shareholders say yes, they do,
That's right. You're right.
then
Money
they
talks.
That's
probably
the problem
will.
with being a publicly held company. That's what
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The people that
Um,
really shouldn't drive the business off and do. So there you
right.
go.
If you're going to leave potentially a large sum of money on the table, folks
Yeah,
will go ahead
they're
and
gonna
take their
scream
shares
about
at
it.
their
I
shares
mean,
in the
that's
money
it's all
those.
about the money. I
So
get it.
Yeah.
so the ads are going to be supposedly in the form of promoted searches as opposed to like a pop-up or a banner popping on your
Right.
screen.
Thank
So
God.
Right.
we already see that in the App Store app where apps are promoted and
Yeah.
that's
And they're
that's
clearly
technically a
marked as,
promoted ad
and they're clearly marked as
marked
promoted.
as advertisements.
Right,
So
right. If
this
you allow an app to track you, you're going to get that. That's your
Yeah.
fault. I
Yeah.
mean,
yeah.
You will. So just be aware if you're an Apple Map user, you may see that on your phone. It's unlikely that you will see it where it's really,
And
needed and necessary
and did
on,
we not say
your
we already see this in Google
CarPlay
Maps?
screen.
So we
Yeah.
already see this kind of thing in Google Maps. So it's not like we're all going to go, "Ooh, this is
right,
something new."
right.
It's
I
really
mean,
not.
we see it, we live with it now. So what
Right.
the hell?
So yeah.
Yeah. This doesn't mean we have to like it, Larry. Doesn't mean we have to like
That's
it.
No,
that's right.
no,
I'm with you.
that is very, very true. But
Yeah.
unfortunate that Apple's chasing after that, but you really can't blame them. So
But they
A lot of
haven't done
money.
everything so right lately, have they?
no, but
Like the next
not
story.
exactly. So I want to go
Like
ahead
the
and I
next
want to move
story.
us.
Thank you, Joel.
I want to move us to our mobile Linux segment. And now that we're here, there is a yay and a nay. Okay, it's a yay and a
I'm
nay.
always
And
to the nay. So what do you
yay,
want?
Apple TV Plus
Yeah.
has finally come to
Yeah.
Android, and it's all nice and lovely and good. We've been asking for Android users have been asking for this particular app to get to either their foldables or the One Plus Open, which we'll talk about in just a little bit, or
Right.
the
Mm-hmm.
Samsung Galaxy
Those-
Fold pick an
Yeah.
edition, or the Pixel Fold, those larger screens,
Or any phone. You
or
know, I
any
mean,
or
or
any
tablet.
Any
Android
phone.
phone, right? And it's finally here, but it's
Eh.
It's a half effort at best.
Well, if you, yeah.
it's I don't know why they did this, because when they
Yeah.
I
came
do.
out with
I do.
Apple Music, they did a really, really great job. It is actually probably about as close as you could want it to get without being a true port from
Right.
iOS to Android.
And
right?
you can pull on Apple Music. Let's start by saying on Apple Music, you can get the streaming service. You can get your purchases off of the iTunes store.
Mhm.
You get access to all the stuff that you normally would have, playlists, everything else that you normally have on Apple Music, on pretty much any of the platforms it appears on.
Right. You can get
It's
it.
the same. It's consistent. It's feature
it's same,
consistent or
same.
pretty consistent. Yeah.
Pretty consistent, right?
This is not
so much
not so much this.
with the
Yeah.
Apple TV Plus app, right, Chris?
Yeah. It's
Mhm.
not.
So
It's very
what's-
disappointing.
What's
So-
missing here?
Well, it's more like what did they give us? Okay, what
Yeah.
they gave us was kind of what we already had with the web. If you use the web interface for it, which is you can stream you can log into your Apple TV Plus account and
Mhm.
stream movies from Apple TV
From
Plus
Apple
or stream
TV
TV shows,
Plus, not
and that's important.
not from
Only
your
Apple TV
library.
Plus, Not from your iTunes library,
Mm-mm.
not from anything else that you have. You can't store movies locally like you can with some of the other versions. None of that.
No.
You can only use Apple TV Plus, and it's a little misleading because when you look at the app on your phone, it just says Apple TV. It doesn't say Apple TV Plus.
Right.
So it's a little misleading. So you think it's going to be the same as it is on other platforms, but it's not. Other platforms, including Windows, offer access to your iTunes movies. They offer access to your local downloads, whatever you want to put on there. You can do that.
This is what I was really wanting to see, because I'm currently
Me too.
I'm currently using a Samsung Galaxy Ultra watch, and it's really it's a great watch. All right, I like it a heck of a lot more than I ever thought that I would.
Sure.
Even though at the beginning I said I wouldn't get one, but I digress. I've got an
That's the whole
unboxing
thing.
video, and I've got an article that I've been working on, and it'll be on the site soon. But I'm using that because I couldn't get it to sync with the OnePlus Open. I really would rather be still in the OnePlus Open as opposed to my Samsung S24 Ultra, which is not a bad phone. It's a good phone. It's got a nice big screen, so it's okay. But I was really hoping to be able to, watch some movies from my video library on the device.
Which is really the only thing I want for it, because there's not one show on Apple TV Plus that I care about. Not one.
I disagree with that. I like some things on it, but that's not the problem. Again,
I do too.
that's not enough. That's not
several I
enough.
love.
That's still not enough for me. That was what I was going to say. It's not enough for me.
That's for me.
Right.
But it's not enough.
For All Mankind was the only one that was close, and I watched.
I like their version of Foundation. I like For All Mankind, and unlike you, Joel, I did like Ted Lasso. I didn't think I would like Ted Lasso.
Was a hoot.
I didn't think I'd like it when I first started watching it, but it was really a good show once I started watching
addictive.
it. Yeah. But having said that, none of that, even with all of that aside, that's not enough.
No,
I need it to support my library.
Right.
And it doesn't. It doesn't do that. I'm disappointed. So
Very,
here's
very,
the things
very,
that are
very
missing.
much.
The library
Very
support
much.
certainly is a big thing that it's missing. It doesn't support your iTunes library or local libraries or any of that. It's missing the eyesight, the insight. Sorry, it's not eyesight. The insight feature, which is very much like Amazon's X-ray feature, where you get some detail about the show you're watching. It's missing that. It's missing notifications for new releases. It's missing the ability to cast to a TV. Can't do it. It's missing the whole smart downloads thing relating to series and all that and how you get them.
The streaming of non-subscription content.
Non-subscription content, which is kind of what we're partly what we're talking about here.
Right.
And Apple Originals and things like that. So all of this stuff is just missing. And it's incredibly disappointing if you're a person who's been used to the app on other platforms, including Windows, by the way. So this is not, it's not on Apple, so we're not going to support it. No, it's actually, it supports it on Windows too, but not on Android.
Right.
Why?
So I would say, and I would suggest to Apple, if anybody from Apple is listening, all right, I would say, hey, look, kids, the thing that you need to do here, the same justification that you used to create iTunes for Windows and Apple TV Plus and Apple Music
TV
for Windows exists here on the Android side. You want to be, your business is not necessarily hardware, it's services.
And this answers why, but this answers, you asked the question at the beginning of this conversation. You asked, why did they release this after all then? And even with only this one feature, why did they release it?
Right.
Subscription and driving to subscriptions is exactly the answer to that question.
Right.
Because they needed to open that up.
Right. But if I want to buy content.
But that wasn't the goal. The goal was to
sell me services. You want to sell me content.
But the idea was to get you to the subscription. That's what it was. Right. That was the key. I think my hope is this is just a step one, that maybe we'll see these added, in a subsequent release. Maybe this is just because this really is barely a conversion of the web interface over to an app. This is barely that. And so that's a really low hanging fruit thing to try to get out there. So maybe the idea was get into the game and maybe they'll fix it later. I don't know. I'm just speculating here, but I sure hope so, because this is a disappointment as it stands.
It is a disappointment. I mean, honest to goodness, I want to be able to watch my iTunes. I have a huge video library. I've got almost 1,000 videos that I've bought over the last 15 or so years.
Yeah, I have a big library. I'm with you.
Free. That's all I got. See, I
want to be able to watch all that content on my foldables.
Me too. Now, having said that, there are other kind of third-party services you can sort of tie into that allow you to share content across platforms. These are related services, but they only work as far as if they have their agreements with the different studios.
Right.
So anything beyond that, you can't share, but we have partial sharing today. So, with that, but I'd love, again, this is not enough. I want it all.
Please, sir.
I want my whole library to work.
Yes, please, sir. I want more.
It's not an unreasonable.
That is a terrible accent. Why did you do that to us?
But it's not an unreasonable request. It's not an unreasonable thing. It's
although Joel, you have a few. There's a lot of us who have a lot, right? I mean,
I know, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Yeah. It's like, and this is why I'm hesitant whenever a new platform comes out to buy content, because I want to watch the content where I want to watch it.
And when,
and Apple's not letting me do that, and it's almost as bad with some of the other ones, especially since they all like even Android to a point where you can't I can't just from the Kindle app go buy a book if I want to,
True.
And this is one of the reasons why I am so content to stay in my Apple wall garden, because I don't have the problem that you guys are having, not one bit of it. I get your problem. I do. I understand. I sympathize. I just can't empathize.
Well, to be very honest, I think all of us are multi-platform users, meaning on the desktop, we have both Windows and
Mac, or Linux or whatever.
We have Windows machines. We all have Windows machines. We all have Mac machines. All right,
and Linux.
And Linux, all right.
Linux, yes.
So we've got them. We've got them all. The point being that it would be nice to be able to, regardless of where I want to be able to watch what I want to watch, wherever it is that I want to watch it. I want to.
Maybe Apple did this because they looked at the Android users and said, of this group of users, the amount that are going to take advantage of this is so small, it's not worth my while yet.
They might.
That's the only thing I can think of.
Well, they said the same thing with Windows users,
and then it turned out to be a very big percentage of people were over there. So there you go.
A lot of Windows users had purchased iPhones or iPods, right? Had purchased iPods, and it made sense to give them a way to manage their content. Without some hokey pokey, gimpy.
So again, they're not there yet. I just, my thing is put it down on paper, guys. I'm on board to fix this problem. This product is not what I wanted. It's misleading.
We wanted more. We really did.
I want a feature complete product like I have on all the other platforms. Please, please, please.
Yep. And all they're doing is giving Android fans like myself ammo.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like that shows you that all they care about is their platform. That's it. They don't care about you, Android users. They want you to come over to the Apple platform. Well, guess what, Apple? I ain't going to do it if you do stuff like this. You want me to do it, make it easy for me to come there. Let me buy more content that I can watch on my Android phone if I want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And
it
the next
make
time
sense,
I might get an iPhone.
According to stats, 30% of Windows users have an iPhone.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and that's how, dude, that's how they sold. I mean,
that's a lot of people.
The iPod was popular. Don't get me wrong, but it didn't get as popular as it was until they brought out the version that worked on Windows.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, once
It
they
got
brought
them a
that
lot
version
more-
out, it got more users.
It
It's
certainly did.
like, hello, you
Right.
know. They've
And
seemed to
again, if
forget
your goal, even if your goal is to sell services, then sell the freaking service, not just the
Right.
streaming service, but all of the service.
Yes,
Yes.
100%.
Yes. Give
I
me
like-
the whole gambit.
I
All
like the fact that the Apple product on other platforms acts as not only my streaming service for their stuff, but
Right.
also acts to some certain extent as my library management to an
Yep.
extent. I like that it can do that.
Yep.
I want that all over the place. Now, movies and TV on Windows does it sort of, in part.
Sort of.
Not as well, but it kind of does the same thing. And again, it can share with some of these backend services that share with some of your Apple services. And I have the same service sort of available on Android to an extent. Again, but none of it's complete. I want everything complete.
Oh, that is
Apple, give
very
me
true.
everything. Give
That
me
is
everything across
very
the board.
true.
That's what I want.
A great deal of it is not complete. So
Yep.
and it's partially problematic. So
I agree. So let's fix it, kids. Let's fix it.
yep, I agree. It would be much better if we did. So
All right, thanks.
you bet. And now let's go to some other, really disappointing kind of situation.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Chris and I have been saying for a long time that we really like the OnePlus Open. It is probably, at least in my opinion, the best, and there it is, the best foldable on the market today, and it's got an absolutely gorgeous screen.
It really does.
Unfortunately, Chris, what the heck
And-
is going
and
on?
one of the best
Is it gonna
multitasking,
be,
too.
OnePlus Open 2 this year?
Yeah, this is what we're hearing. We've been waiting for OnePlus Open 2, and we had the Oppo, and remember, it's kind of a device cognate with an Oppo device. They're sort of all under the Oppo umbrella, as it were.
Right.
And the correct me if I'm wrong, the Find N5, is that the new Oppo
Yes,
foldable?
the Oppo Find
Is it-
N5 is supposed to be
Okay. And so that's about to be
Open
released
2.
like any day now to the world, right?
Yes.
So the reviewers have gotten theirs, but the real release is like any day now. I forget.
Absolutely.
No,
it is.
it's the 20th.
Okay, but very soon, 4 days.
Right.
So any day now, I'll line up. So anyway, that's the point I'm getting at is it's coming out, and usually the Oppo flavor of it came out similarly or almost around the same time frame or whatnot.
Right.
And now we've been waiting, and there has been nothing on the OnePlus Open or the OnePlus community boards talking
Right.
about it. They've been very dead silent about it, and everybody's been wondering why they're so silent about it. And a couple days ago, we get word that's because they're not going to release one. They're not
Right.
going to release a OnePlus version of this.
What?
Yeah, that and I could tell you what they said, but what they said to me doesn't say anything. It's very
doesn't really
content
make
free.
any sense, does it?
No, it doesn't. I mean, the implication was that we think there's better ways we can utilize our time right now without really saying what that is. And, but they still went on to say how committed they are and, to innovating and bringing things in, yet they kind of contradict themselves several times.
They did. Let's go directly to the tape because I
Go
want to
for it.
read this so that you
Please.
can go ahead and read and tear it apart. The following is just a quick 2-paragraph excerpt from
Sure.
the whole announcement. At OnePlus, our core strength and passion lie in setting new benchmarks and challenging the status quo across all product categories. With that in mind, we've carefully considered the timing of our next step in foldable devices, and we have made the decision not to release a foldable this year. While this may come as a surprise, we believe this is the right approach for us at this time as Oppo takes the lead in the foldable segment with the Find N5. We're committed to developing products that will redefine multiple categories and bring your experiences that are as innovative and exciting as ever, all while aligning closely with our never settle mantra.
Let's step back for a moment from that statement, because let's
It
understand
kinda
why
smells.
the OnePlus product line kind of exists in the first place.
Yeah.
It was a way to sell products into other parts of the world other than the Asian markets,
Right.
in a spun more in a Western way, if you would. That was
Yes.
kind of the under thinking of it. Sold
Yes.
more to Western markets. Its biggest OnePlus is probably biggest in India and in North America. It's
Right.
probably where they have their biggest markets.
Right.
Whereas the Oppos don't sell here. We don't have them here. We don't carry them here. For the
No,
most part.
we don't.
You,
And
you can import
it's
them,
very
but
disappointing.
yeah, and Oppos had some nice products, but again, they're not here. So having said all that,
Mm-hmm.
knowing that it was a targeted kind of marketing thing, and we
Mm-hmm.
can't get the Oppo here, you have to ask yourself, okay, so why, if your goal is the right approach and this and that, does that mean you're going to release the Oppo product here? I don't think so, because it didn't sound like they were ready to do that either.
No.
So
No.
we just have nothing, and it's disappointing. And they
I
sold
think
well
you would
here.
have the same problem with Oppo as you do with Huawei and Xiaomi.
Absolutely true. And that was the other reason why OnePlus did
right?
okay here, because they, quote unquote,
Hey, you two guys use this phone and you
Yeah.
loved it.
we do.
I never used it. I've never touched one.
Mhm.
And from listening to what Chris just read, the statement from the company, I have a whole different take on why they didn't do it.
Okay.
They simply didn't freaking sell enough of the damn things.
No,
and
they
don't
sold a
feel
lot,
there's a
though.
market for it, period.
They sold a lot, though. That was just the funny thing. And I would agree with you if I didn't know that they had sold a lot.
Well,
Well,
by a lot, how
it's
many?
one of those-
Because I just tried to
Right.
search on that, and that what the internet gives me is it sold so few that nobody knows. That's exactly what Google says.
Interesting.
But that
Well,
might be hundreds of thousands. I don't know.
Well, and I think my problem with it is I don't think it will work on my network, which is why I would never even buy one.
Well,
It's
What network are you guys using it on?
Me?
Phone.
T-Mo.
T-Mobile?
I've been on
T-Mobile and
AT.
Mint,
I've been on
which
I've been on AT&T and Mint.
I'm a Verizon homer, so I mean
Yeah.
I'm always going to be on Verizon whether I want to
Yeah.
be or not, because that's
Yeah.
what the wife wants.
And the problem is Verizon uses networks that are not common in the rest of the world. So
True.
it's hard to get stuff made for it sometimes. It's kind of the nature of the thing.
Yep.
And
Very
they
true.
have probably more than a third share of all the cellular.
But I do remember when this thing first hit the market, you couldn't get one. They kept being
I
sold
remember
out.
that. You remember you guys telling me that.
So it
Yeah,
was a thing.
Very difficult to get a hold of. And the fact that they sold out on so many different quote unquote batches that they would have sold here in the States really indicates that there is a market
And
that's interested.
a matter of fact, the other indication is, again, as I said, it was big in India and here in North America. It was number one on Amazon's India's site as
Right.
foldables went. They were number one on that list. So I'm sure they sold enough. I don't think that's the issue. There has to be something else going on here. I don't know what it is. Something that we're not aware of. And it may be related to the things that blocked Huawei from being sold here and other things like that. It could be similar. We don't know. We don't have that information. So it may well be that they decided they didn't, there was a risk of them getting sued or something. Who knows? And they
in the
decided it
OnePlus
wasn't worth it.
community, in the OnePlus community forums, as we speak right now, there are 194,732 users.
Okay, fair
I
enough.
mean, I'm surely there's a whole boatload that don't go here. So
Yeah, of course. So it's an interesting
it's being
product.
used, obviously. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and it got carried a lot on a lot of reviewers talk about it on YouTube and whatnot.
Yeah.
A lot of North American reviewers have covered it. So I think the other challenge is for a product, you got to remember too, this is a product you can't get at your carrier, and US is big on getting devices from carriers, and you can't get it at like the local Best Buy. You had to literally order it from OnePlus's website. So
Right.
that is going to limit it a little bit. So, but it also
And the other
limits.
thing,
It
I bet
also
you
limits how
had
many
to
they
pay
need to
full
sell.
price for it. You can't just go to your carrier and say, get it for $2 a month.
No,
for
but they always had sale prices on it, or frequently had sale prices on it. And the pricing was very
OnePlus,
good.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah,
They
and
had some of the
compared to
best
other
deals.
foldables, it was a lot cheaper. It was still cheaper to buy than Samsung, than
Yeah.
Google, than all these. It was cheaper.
Well, it was they priced it initially, the OnePlus Open was initially priced at $12.99. All right.
When it first
And
came
I
out, yeah,
believe when it came out, and I believe they offered a free storage upgrade
yeah.
from 256 to 512, and that was still $12.99.
But yeah,
And
but
then
all
they
I'm saying
offered a
is with
trade-in.
75% of the buyer users of phones out there are getting them and paying for them with installments. So maybe if they could get it on an installment, they might buy
That
it.
might be. That
Well,
might be.
there are different
But
kinds of installment financing companies that are out there. You've got Affirm, you've got Klarna,
Right, right.
you've got PayPal,
yeah.
Pay Monthly. I mean, there's a number of different ways that you could
But I
do it.
think I think again, I think it was just purely a matter of we didn't sell enough units.
Mm-hmm.
I think they would have just said that.
Right.
You know, I don't think, and that's not what they said. What they said
No.
was incredibly vague, and it
Yes.
implies that there's other things going on that you don't know.
Maybe they want to see, how big the outcry will be.
Maybe, and
You
that could
know?
be. We've seen that kind of behavior too, haven't we? Now
Mhm.
from various events,
I
sundry
mean, we
vendors.
wouldn't know, but maybe they're having corporate issues. Maybe
Well,
they're
you're right. You're
going
right.
through a
Could
big
be.
bad whatever.
Yeah,
Like I
could
said,
be.
maybe they're going to go with the Oppo unit and just modify it for the other markets. I mean, why
Leak the
not? Maybe
radio,
cheaper.
flash the radio so that they
Yeah.
work with all the carriers here. Who knows?
Might just be cheaper to do it that way. I don't know. Maybe that's what
Don't
they're going to do.
know.
But I hope to see something from them soon, because the new one the potential looks great. The Apple
Mhm.
Find N5 looks great.
Oh, it looks
I've been very
fabulous.
happy with, but even without it, this phone holds up very well even now
Yes.
compared to the competition. It holds up incredibly
Absolutely.
well. It's still a really good phone.
It's running 15 right now, isn't it?
It is running 15. That is the current release of
Yeah.
Android that they're running. So they're caught up. I mean, they're a little behind on releases the way. Well, so is Samsung, so is everybody else. They're not all
Well,
right on
sure.
top of it either.
With
But
OnePlus, it's all going to hit in India first,
always
and
first.
then it'll
But
come to the States.
they're they by the way, I should also point out they indicated they're continuing to support this thing. So
Right.
they're not walking away from support on the existing device. So
No, so we should get 16 as well. So
yeah, we'll see. So I'm hoping.
know.
But I've been happy with it. I'm going to continue to be happy with it. But I really am
absolutely.
disappointed that they have, at least for now, chosen not to proceed with the two. And we don't know what that means. And I say that because they didn't say we will never do it. They didn't say, we're pulling out of the market. They didn't say any of those things.
Right.
Mhm.
What they said, we've carefully considered the timing in our next steps in the fold devices, and we made the decision not to release a foldable this year. Now, that decision could change as we move through the year. That decision could be retired for next year, 2026.
Yeah.
Don't know.
Or there could be some big exciting new thing that they want to do. They're not quite ready to do, so they've decided to delay. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. We have no idea.
No.
So here we go.
I'm wondering if you might be able to get it, say, on AliExpress or something else. You probably could be able to, but
unfortunately,
they won't have the trade-in deals, especially for the States.
And when you do those, usually you end up paying a premium for these things when you buy those ways.
You will.
We'll see how it goes.
Yep. Anyway.
So,
but that kids is the first half of the show, and this is where we usually go ahead and do the break. So I'm going to go ahead and break us here. So y'all are broken.
I feel broken. Thanks.
Thank you.
I do feel broken.
And we will be right back after this brief message. Hi. This is Christopher Spera from iTechGear.org. I wanted to talk with you today about becoming a contributing donor to the site. iTechGear.org has been around for almost 15 years. In fact, our anniversary is just around the corner on January 10th, 2025. 15 years. Where has the time gone? I mean, I've never really asked for any kind of donations for the site. It's always been about me providing value to you, a site visitor or podcast listener. The iTechGear Weekly is now in its 4th year of production, and Chris G, Joel, and Dr. Mr. Larry McJunkin and I are having a really great time providing you with some of the best free tech talk available from time-tested original internet writers, testers, site founders, and professional writers and editors on the internet. I truly believe that our crew has some of the best and most qualified pundits and commentators on the internet today. And we're not hobbled by any kind of sponsorship or affiliated relationship or other time-bought posts. It all comes from the heart. Unfortunately, times are kind of tough. And since the COVID-19 pandemic of 2020 to 2023, yes, almost 3 full years, times have become increasingly difficult for small independent sites like iTechGear.org to stay afloat. You know, I normally do this with a portion of the salary I make from the day job, but with the IT market so tight right now, it's really difficult sometimes for many to make normal household ends meet, let alone fund a site like iTechGear that might decide to bring in a buck or two. You know, it ain't easy. If you find any of our content on iTechGear or from ITGW to be of any value at all, I would seriously appreciate you donating as little as just $1 to the cause. While we do have a Patreon site, it's hard to keep one website up, let alone 2. And since it's really only me doing the work, our Patreon site hasn't really helped us at all. If you can make a donation to the site or to the show of any amount, I'd be forever grateful. All donations will go to site maintenance, hosting, podcast hosting, and everything iTechGear related. Donations can be made to my PayPal account at chris@itechgear.org. Make a donation. We'll thank you immediately on the next ITGW episode and voice our gratitude. I want to thank you. We appreciate your consideration, time, and attention. Now let's get back to the latest iTechGear Weekly episode. And welcome back to the iTechGear Weekly episode number 121. Well, that's a trip to HR waiting to happen. And I want to go ahead and get us into our Windows segment because there's some interesting things that are kind of sort of happening in I don't know that we're actually going to go ahead and hit a mistake-a-thon entry this week. We're
pretty close though.
It's close because this first one is kind of, well, it goes along with I think some of the current things that are going along with the current administration. Microsoft has jumped on board with the renaming of the Gulf to the Gulf of America, following both Apple and Google.
Right.
You know, and
ultimately, this is just because all 3 of these companies use the U.S. GIS data, and because of Trump's executive order, that data changed, and so the maps changed. It's that simple.
And there you go.
And it's not either any of these companies' faults that it changed. I mean, you can be a supporter and still think it's dumb because there's lots of things. Lots of people don't like what he's doing, and lots of people like what he's doing. But
there's other things we could focus our energy on.
Exactly. I mean, there's so much more important things than this, and every single mass media person just had to share it. And it's like,
well, I think what they wanted really to share was a sense of outrage that all it took was for Trump to go
kind of like when Pluto was demoted.
Grab a Sharpie and sign a piece of paper, and it's automatically renamed and recognized, therefore, by everyone in the world.
Which it's not, but that's the interesting part of all of it.
It may
I
or may
find
not
it more
be.
funny just to follow all the fallout from this, like
Oh,
Mall
yeah,
of
no
America.
kidding.
We're going to change our name now to Mall of Mexico.
So
Official.
At the end of the day is if it's just a matter of change of the data having changed. I don't think it's just that because they have private data too, but I think it's
Yeah.
more about corporate America is going to always tend to cave into whatever the government says they're doing or stating because it's
They
easier
don't
for
have a
them.
choice.
They also take the path of least resistance. They're not there to be political and fight the
and
battle.
you really
Usually,
can't blame them for it, can
no,
you?
you can't blame them. I don't. You don't have to like it, but you don't have to blame them for it either. I mean, it is what it
No.
is.
Very true.
It just kind of is what it is. But
Yeah.
I will say that certainly for people mostly from our generation, we're probably always going to call it the Gulf of Mexico till we die because that's
Probably.
just what we know.
Right.
It's just something we know. Okay, I think the Gulf of America is kind of dumb name because North America, South America, Central America, this is kind of idiotic, but it is what it is.
Well, I have a feeling that this is one of those things that may last for 4 years, depending on which
possibly,
party gets the power.
It's not the case. I mean, but the bottom line is
election, but
this was a grandstanding kind of thing in the first place to do this. And, it looks good on paper, let's face it. So that's why it was done. But and everybody's just following suit. And I wouldn't, other than us, everybody, including us, talking about it, I would just say, yeah, you know what? It's just a name, kids. Get over it.
I think we should.
I'm with you.
So you're right, Chris. It's just a name, and a name doesn't change the product. I don't care what the product is.
That is absolutely true.
If Bentley changed the name of their wonderful automobile to Bubba Mobile, it'd still be a Bentley.
Although remember the old marketing adage, Chevrolet had to change the name of the Nova when they took it down to Mexico because Nova means no go.
Right.
So so name does mean something sometimes, but in this case,
I guess it does. In that case,
in this case, it really doesn't. So let's move forward.
Yeah. So interestingly enough,
but on the big wheel, what do we have tonight, Chris?
Is this? Should we spin the big wheel?
I think we should spin the big wheel. Come on,
here we go,
spin
kids.
The wheel for
Let's
us.
spin the big wheel. And Larry, what did it land on?
It landed on a whole bunch of people who are upset about the new Outlook. Look at that. Actually, guys, this one hit kind of home for me because we support 1,500 or so users of Windows computers here.
Right.
And from a first level support perspective, we're now getting 2, 3, 4 calls a week that say, how can I get rid of this thing called
and this was a forced change, wasn't it? It wasn't even an optional change. This was forced.
Right. And they don't like it. So Microsoft, you have over probably 100 million people or more telling you they don't like the new Outlook and they consider it a terrible email experience, but you keep shoving it down their throats. So the latest update,
with more than likely the thought that, the reason why they don't like it is because it's a paradigm shift and nobody likes change, and
especially old people.
They'll get used to it. It'll be fine.
I mean, they're going to these folks are going to have to change from their classic mail and calendar to new Outlook or get a new mail client.
So how long before somebody releases a mail client that more closely resembles the old Outlook?
Bound to happen.
Or the original Windows Mail,
the original Microsoft Mail.
Yeah.
I'm with you. That's my thinking is that somebody's bound to do this as a sort of a reaction to. Because all you got to do is change the interface, right? I mean, a mail engine is a mail engine.
And they'll be a bazillionaire, right?
I mean, there's still
I'd pay $10 to
workable.
get rid of it.
There's still a mail client out there that's a lookalike for Outlook Express. A lot of people use it. Who knows? I don't know. The new Outlook is very controversial. It's drawn a lot of fire, a lot of criticism.
Because it's crap.
And many of the complaints center around it being a web app. And a lot of that is unfounded, I think. I know even between us.
It's more of a PWA than anything else. Wouldn't you agree, Larry?
I'm fine with PWA. Some people are not. And I get that. There's a
Mhm.
speed difference, but there's a convenience factor with a PWA too. So
Yeah, I'm not a fan of PWAs or web apps in general, but that isn't my complaint with this. The interface is just terrible. It's
it's
the
awful.
redesign is
And the fact that they shoved it
that's my
down our
problem.
throat, that's the
Yeah,
worst
that's
part.
and the fact that they didn't give and they shoved it as part of a Windows security update, kids.
Yeah,
They
it
didn't
was
even
part of
it
a
wasn't even an
security
office it
fix.
wasn't even an office update. They put it in as part
Nope.
of a Windows security
Yeah.
update, and you didn't get a choice on it. You didn't even get say so that it was happening.
Right. And I
Yeah,
believe that once this thing is in, you can't pull it out.
no.
Well, there's justification, Chris, for that. I'm sure it's part of the operating system, not part of Office. That's probably
I
what
get
you're
you.
saying.
I get you.
Right.
It
No,
is.
It's
but
not
what
right,
really
but
I think the long and the
Ugh.
short of it is that this is I don't know why they wanted to do this. They didn't have to. This was just something that somebody stuck on a project board at on the Redmond campus and said, I want to go ahead and get rid of this instead of updating it to be more secure for the newer operating system. We just want to get rid of it, retire it, and put in something else that may have a more modern interface.
that may be true. But Microsoft really believes that this is better because I looked in a couple of other articles other than the one we're citing.
Yeah.
Microsoft says, yeah, we know a lot of people don't like this, but we believe it is a better design than its predecessor. We believe. We don't care what you believe.
I was just going to say, have they, how
This is not the first time they've said this to us before, by
they
the
want
way.
to die on these hills?
This
where
is a
we're
new
right
Microsoft,
and you're wrong.
folks.
You're an idiot, and we're Microsoft, and we know better.
Right. Absolutely.
Can we spin the big wheel again? Thank you. Thank you, Bill. Yep, and it landed on a big old FU bonus screen.
Oh, good. And what's our bonus today?
What's our bonus? Well, the Microsoft has actually cut support for older Intel CPUs in Windows 11 24H2.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
sort of. Yeah, but
Sort
yeah.
of.
Yes and no. I mean, if you have one, like for example, my Surface Pro 6 is one of those unsupported chips because let's face it, it's what? How old now?
But
it does run Windows 11.
2018, 2019.
And it is running, and it does run Windows 11 24H2, by the way.
It does.
Yeah.
So,
But what they're telling OEMs is you can't build any new ones using those older chips.
right.
We won't support it if you do.
Right. So the 8th, 9th, and 10th generation chips are out, right? That's your Coffee Lake, your Comet Lake,
So,
Oh.
even though they'll work for now, if you already have a machine with them in there, you can pretty much bet that at some point in the not distant future,
right.
the support, updates will stop for those models.
Which is unfortunate, but I don't understand why Microsoft does half the stuff that it's doing right now. Really, honest to God, and I hate to bring this name up, but ever since Sanofsky left, there's been a sucking sound coming out of the halls on the Redmond campus. They're still trying to figure out who's in charge. They're still trying to figure out who is doing what and why and who's going to make the decisions. When Sanofsky was there, it wasn't necessarily a great thing, but you knew that when a decision was made, it was more than likely the right decision, despite the fact that the way that it came down sucked. All right.
You can't even complain that it's decision by committee because it's not even that good.
No.
And that's saying something.
No, committees can make better decisions than this.
This is very disappointing.
It is.
Again.
It is. And I don't understand why they're doing this.
I guess to me, it's like they've somehow decided in the last couple years that desktop and Office is no longer their bread and butter. That maybe it's all Azure. Maybe that's what and their server farms and all that stuff. Rather,
yeah,
I
but
don't know.
You got to understand that this is the gateway. Windows sales are the gateway,
but they seem to act like it's not
and whatever else.
I know, but they seem to feel that isn't where their future is. That's at least that's the way they're behaving. So it's interesting. Everything is almost an also ran now. It's an afterthought.
Well, there's still the operating. Windows is still the operating that runs the computers that run the world. All right. It's not Mac OS. It's not Linux. It's mostly Windows.
Unless you're COD Strike, but that's a whole other animal.
Well, but the point though that I'm making is that when you are running on most of the computers that run the world, why would you screw with that?
Yeah, I have to agree. I don't understand.
Why would you tinker with that? I mean, are you trying to piss people off?
Yeah,
Are you
evidently.
trying to push them away?
It sure seems like that to me too.
I don't get it.
I don't either.
I don't get it. And Microsoft isn't going to if they keep this shit up.
No, we keep spinning the wheel every week, don't we? You
Well,
know?
the last 4 episodes at least, we've had a mistake-a-thon kind of event to report on. And
Yeah, I look at this in that I'm like, what I mean, what is so different about these older processors that they deem it not, that they don't
Not
want
worthy?
people bringing out Windows 11 on it? I mean, it works. It's like,
I know.
the whole thing it used to be was that, and the whole reason you stayed on Intel was because it was compatible with, with Windows
Just
ad
don't give me.
infinitum.
If it's a feature, a feature issue, then just don't give me the feature. If that's what it is. If you can't support it on it.
Like, hey, I would gladly buy a system that doesn't include Copilot.
Exactly.
Let's go ahead and give Microsoft just a little bit of credit, just a little bit, not a lot,
Little bit. Okay.
just about that much,
Just a smidge.
All right,
Okay, gotcha.
just a smidge, right? Because I mean, the current generation of Intel processors is the 14th generation of core desktop CPUs. All right, 14. So they're killing things that are 4, 5, and 6 generations back. All right?
We get that, right.
And I understand that, and I get it. But if they are still capable of running the most current operating system, what the hell are you doing?
There's a little irony in this because never once in the history of the Surface product has Microsoft ever released it with the most current Intel chip. They're always one chip behind.
Yeah, true enough.
And I don't understand that, but
They never. That's a fact.
and I don't understand that,
I don't know. And now they're going to do what they're doing.
which is one of the reasons why it's a V8 moment, I think. It's just smack your forehead
I
kind
think
of
it is
moment
part
and
of
go, oh my,
Stinkathon. I really do.
honest to God, I just don't understand it. All right, kids, we're going to go to the back of the book here, what Leo calls the back of the book. And we're going to get into our tip of the week segments. And before we get to this tip of the week segment, I want to go ahead and remind everybody that, hey, iTechGear is all about making technology easy for everyone to understand. And this team specifically has dedicated their writing and technology-based careers to helping folks in that area. We want to make it easy for everyone to understand. So every week we have here on the iTechGear Weekly a new computing tip authored by one of our experienced editors. Questions, if you've got them, requests, suggestions can be sent to tips@itechgear.org. And this week specifically, I'm a happy camper. And do you know why?
Can't imagine.
I didn't have to write this week's tip. Ta-da! Ta-da! I like it. So this week
He found a patsy.
This week, Larry, you've got a pretty good, decent article. Why don't you tell us all about it?
I'll tell you partly about it, and then you can go and look in our show notes and get the link and go read the whole article. But back when the four of us first dipped our toes into the internet with probably a 300 baud modem and a Commodore 64 computer, we didn't have online security issues. We were the only problem. I mean, we had problems, but they weren't malware. They
They
weren't.
were us.
Right.
So, I mean, we just didn't have the online problems of today's digital
True.
world. But now protecting your privacy and security is way more important than it's ever been. And while what really gets me though, so many people misassociate virtual private networks with something that fixes malware and viruses and whatnot. They just, with many people, that work from home, they have to have a VPN, or people who need to get past geo-blocked content. A VPN can be a very useful thing. I mean, I don't care why it's your life. You can go past any geo-blocked content you want. I'm going to cite several good reasons, just one-liners, why you should use a VPN. And then there's a link in the show notes that'll take you to our website and tell you all about each one of these in more detail. But spoiler alert, a VPN does absolutely nothing for malware. What it does is protect you from nefarious ISPs, other bad guys who would like to track where you go online, and then they market you with ads and whatnot based on what you do online. If what it does, it basically masks your IP address. To put it simply, it makes it appear that you're not where you are. So if you're living like me in the state of Tennessee, the ISP or whoever else can't tell that I really live here. They're seeing me log on from probably one of many different servers, depending on where that particular VPN logged in from. So the 5 big reasons: enhanced privacy and security. They prevent your ISP from tracking you, and believe it or not, your ISP will throttle your speed based on where you are. If you're doing something they want you to do, they leave it high. A lot of them do this. You can secure smart home devices better. You can, as I said earlier, you can bypass geo restrictions. And this is not so much for home, but it's a really good reason to have a software VPN when you travel. Don't go into your hotel room or in Starbucks or somewhere without a VPN, because it's just not safe to use the public Wi-Fi.
Totally agree.
Open networks. Open networks.
I don't care. And most of us go to the doctor office and we sit there, or the car dealership, and we go, "Oh, it'll be okay this one time. I'm going to go ahead and read this book or whatever." Don't do it. But understand that with a VPN, you're going to get some severe limitations to your internet usage in your home network.
Right.
So
While
primarily, it's going to slow it down by an average of 30%. The more expensive VPNs, a little less. The cheap ones, a lot more. The free ones, forget about it, because it's horrible. But this is not a big price to pay if you really, if you're on a gigabit, so what? You still have 600 or 700 left.
And investigate.
But if you're on a meager connection, it's not.
But investigate your VPN, because even though your ISP can no longer directly track you, some of the VPN providers do.
Yeah,
that's very true.
So you need to be careful of who you're using, and look at reviews. Look at what people are saying.
Well,
and if you're willing to spend a few dollars, I'm actually thinking of installing one of these myself, because it can be turned on and off so quickly and easily. You can put a VPN on your router.
You can.
VPN.
Absolutely can.
And that makes it a whole lot easier to do what we're talking about here. But either way.
Yep.
I want to make certain that everybody understands, there's a reason why Gmail was free for so long. And it was largely because Google was looking at your email. They were examining it, scanning through it, and then presenting ads to you in Gmail to sell you something based on the mail that you're getting.
And your location.
When the product is free,
you're the product.
Remember, you are the product. Your information is what they are getting from you.
Absolutely true.
When you use a free product.
And also understand that when they're looking at your email, they're not manually sifting through there looking for you slept with Sally last night. They don't care about that. They care that you went to 3 different car dealerships in the last 3 days. And now we're going to see a bunch of car ads in Facebook.
Right.
Yep. Been there, done that.
Right. So
Yep.
a VPN will mask your privacy information. All right.
Mhm.
That's going to be your PCI, your personal credit information. That's going to be your PII, your personally identifying information, and your PHI, your personal health information. It will encrypt your traffic so that inquiring minds will not be able to know. All right. You're not traveling on an open channel.
Well,
You've
only
got
between you and the provider.
right.
Beyond that,
Right.
it's not necessarily encrypted anymore. But yes, you're right.
No.
All right. So remember that it doesn't block malware. It's not an antivirus. It's
Nope.
not
And
going to
not
keep you from
everybody
getting
needs a
bugs.
VPN. I mean, you
Right.
may not care. I really
Nope.
don't care a whole
Right.
lot, but
See, I don't use public Wi-Fi at all.
no,
All
I
right.
don't.
No, but I'll
I
tell
I
you,
use
use
I,
my
I use
hotspot.
I use my phones. All right.
I
use
used it. I used it when I was overseas to basically make it think I had a Chicago or local based connection. The idea was I wanted to be able to keep accessing my Netflix and my
Right.
Hulu and all that while I
Right.
was overseas, and that was the way to do that. So,
Right. And if
so
and when
geofence
you do it,
content, like Larry
if
said,
and when you go again, you'll probably do the same thing.
absolutely.
There
Because,
you go.
and again, it's my content. I'm paying for it already. I just
Right.
want to be able to use it while I'm traveling.
Wherever you are. All
Yep.
right. And so we have all of that out in an article that Larry wrote that you'll be able to see um, on the site on Monday. So tomorrow. Um, and it's a good article. It reads very, very well. Please go and look at it and understand what a VPN is and why you might want to be able to use one. So there you go.
Awesome.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move us to our pick of the week segment. But before we get to that, I want to remind everybody that, hey, our picks are effectively, hardware, software, and other items of interest that we have individually purchased and that we actually use and that we like enough that we want to recommend them to you, our growing listener base. These are not paid advertisements or anything that we have any sort of affiliated marketing relationship with. If they were, the editorial policy at iTechGear.org states that we have to go ahead and let you guys know that up front. These are just things that we sincerely believe in, and we bring them to you at the end of each show. Why?
Because we like you.
Eh,
Eh.
it's getting better. Guys, keep working on it. Larry, did you want to go ahead and add something before we get into the actual pick?
No, that was the cue for keep it in sync on the, which we didn't. No.
This week, we ended up getting my son Sam, a iPad to help him organize his schoolwork. His sister and his niece are both using iPads to help them, and they are actually using GoodNotes with a little help from AI.
Good app.
Will actually listen to the lecture and take notes for you while you sort of scroll what you think are the highlights, and then you can go ahead and play the lecture back at your leisure or look at the notes that it took, and it should have everything in, which should be good. The biggest problem though with the iPad is that, or any Apple tablet, all right, is that they're all now using, I believe, some level of Apple Pencil, which is anywhere between $79 to $129, right? They're expensive, all right? And I had an Apple Pencil 2, and unfortunately, I carried around in my Scotty vest in one of the pen compartments, and unfortunately, there's an opening for it, but there's no bottom. So it shot down to the bottom of the vest and sat there for a while, and I didn't know it, and the tip broke. So bye-bye Apple Pencil. So I was looking for a replacement, not only for me, but for my son Sam for his new iPad. And I found this one from Digiroot. And interestingly enough, this is the same pencil that his niece, my granddaughter, actually uses. This is from a company called DigiRoot. It is the stylus pen for iPad, 13 minutes fast charge stylus with palm rejection, tilt sensitivity, compatible with 2018 to 2024 iPad Air 3, 4, 5, 6, Mini 5 and 6, iPad 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, iPad Pro 11-inch, 12.9-inch, and the M4 version. So basically all of them. And it is only mine when I bought it was like 15 or so dollars. This one right now on Amazon as of this recording on February 16th, 2025 is $22.09. All right, and it comes in black, white, lavender, and pink. All right, and what's really cool about it is it charges via USB-C cable, and it's got a little power button on the top. So you give it, it's like a little ballpoint pen. You click it, and it turns on, and it just works. You don't have to pair it or anything else. It just works. All right, with the operating system. I have found a couple of limitations with it in that it usually with a regular Apple Pencil, a long press and hold will bring up a context menu. It will not do that with this. You have to use your finger to get the context menu that you want.
It doesn't do the squeeze support either, does it?
No, it doesn't do the squeeze support.
Oh.
But for $15 to $22, I mean, it does all of the other writing stuff and selecting stuff, blah, 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 blah. It just doesn't. There are a couple.
Do you know what it's using to connect since it doesn't have Bluetooth support?
I actually think that I thought that it did.
Oh, it says it does not on their website.
All right. Okay.
So I'm just curious if you knew how it was connecting. Just curious.
I'm not certain.
Okay,
right?
these are things that
you don't have to put a little
Press the top
dongle
button,
in or anything, do you?
Turn it on.
No.
And off. There you go. All right.
What's that? I'm sorry.
Bluetooth. So no, it's saying the first point here is that the stylus doesn't have Bluetooth. Single press the top button on the stylus, turn it on and off without connecting Bluetooth. If you find it doesn't work after turning it on, please turn off Bluetooth settings and follow the steps to disconnect Bluetooth connection between your iPad and the Apple Pencil if you've got one.
So it just works with the physical connection then?
Yeah.
That's it.
All right. And
Wait. The physical connection? You mean?
The pen point and the display, the
right.
pressure. I mean, you're not getting the
Oh,
other
I
stuff.
understand. That's
there
you don't
is
have
pressure.
I got you.
I thought there was pressure sensitivity.
It'll let you write, but that's it.
Right. You're going to be able to write. All right. It will, with the different kinds of functions like the lassoing to select and all that, it'll do all that stuff. Right. But for $22, this is not bad. All right. If you're looking for basic functionality, it's pretty cool. And it will do it. It comes with a USB-C to USB-A cable for charging purposes. It will go ahead and fully charge in 13 minutes. So connect it to, with a USB-C to USB-C cable. It'll go ahead and you can charge it while you're directly from your iPad. It comes with 3 extra rubber points. And it will work with, your paper like screen protectors and your glass screen protectors, and you should be just fine. All right.
You're giving up Bluetooth, you're giving up pressure sensitivity, and you're giving up what did we just say? It's not actually context sensitive to what that other way. So, but for $22,
it's not.
How does it
bad.
feel? How does it feel when it's writing? Is there any friction or?
I have been writing with it, and it is just fine.
Okay,
it is
good.
Just fine.
This is, for the price, this is a good thing,
Right. For $15 to $25, they've got different kinds.
And those prices typically vary from day to day on Amazon.
Yeah, right.
Anything.
So right now the white one is $15.50. The black one is $22.09. The lavender and the pink are both $24.59 or $24.69 for the pink. So I mean, not bad at all.
Does it charge off the iPad, or do you have to just plug it into charge? No. I mean, do you have to plug it into charge?
You got to plug it in.
It doesn't charge off the magnetic link like some of their others do.
No, but the magnet is a lot stronger.
Yeah, it stays on, but it doesn't
stays on
charge
a
from
lot
that.
better. It stays on a lot better,
Okay.
but it will not charge that way.
Awesome. Okay, well, that's still not, again, for the price point, this
For
is still
20
not a bad
bucks,
thing.
it's not bad. All
No.
right. For an average of about $20, it's not bad.
It
All
might
right.
also be nice to have this for those people who like their Apple Pencil Pro already. This might not be a bad second thing to buy when you're going to travel or something,
Right.
because you don't want to risk losing your Apple Pencil. I mean, I realize the whole point of the pencil is to while you're traveling, but the point is, in some cases, you may want to protect yourself from losing that thing, and
Right.
this would be a cheap way to, you're going to the beach today. Something to be cheap with you,
beach
just in case you
maybe,
lost
yeah.
it.
I'm getting ready to buy the Apple Pencil, but mainly because of the squeeze technology.
I like the squeeze feature, but you know what?
Yeah.
For $22, I'd live without it, and under certain circumstances, no question.
Yeah.
No question.
Absolutely. And like I said, for $20, it's really hard to beat. And it just works. Turn it on, click, right, done, click, turn it off. And then, like I said, when the battery runs out,
Charge it.
13 minutes.
Okay.
Connect it directly to your iPad through the included cable.
And they said about 9 hours running on a charge, so that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's a day. You can get a day out of it.
That is a day worth of classes or a day worth of meetings,
Yep,
Not
gotcha.
bad. Not bad at all. But that, kids,
All right.
is the pick and the show. This
Oh.
has been the iTechGear Weekly, episode number 121. Well, that's a trip to HR waiting to happen. Recorded live Sunday, February 16th, 2025. Live from iTechGear Central. As I said, I'm Christopher Spera, and for Mr. Chris Gavula, Brother Joe McLaughlin, and Dr. Mr. Larry McJunkin, I want to say, hey, we will see you next time.